Hey everybody, it's your girl Drift Nasty again. Thank you for joining me on the It's Beyond Me podcast. This is just kind of a follow-up to the last video that I was talking about taxes and how Biden lied and said that he wasn't going to increase taxes. I had briefly mentioned a man named Mr. Welch. Well, Mr. Welch's full name is Robert Henry Winborn Welch Jr. He was born in 1899 and he died in 1985. I was going to give you a little bit of his background and then lay out those steps that I told you pertaining to the long-range plan that he exposed in a meeting back in the 50s. So, he was an American businessman, a political organizer, and a conspiracy theorist. Now, to start with, conspiracy theorist is not like a bad word. I don't know why people are afraid of being deemed a conspiracy theorist, because literally all it means is that you are one who has theories of conspiracies. And that conspiracies doesn't mean fantasy. Because guess what? You could catch a conspiracy charge. The government could charge you with being a conspirator. So obviously it's a real thing, but it's just whenever you have theories of conspiracies that involve the government, that's when you need to be discredited. And he retired wealthy from the candy business, and he used all the wealth that he got from that to contribute to anti-communist causes, which is a good thing, right? Sounds like a good guy so far. He co-founded the John Birch Society, also JBS. I mentioned that in the last video. And it was a right-wing political advocacy group, and he was criticized by liberals and mainstream conservatives behind this group and the way that the things he believed, because he made a statement about Eisenhower. He said in a book titled The Politician, which he quoted to being his fact-finding mission, he said that Eisenhower knew in advance about the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor and said nothing because he wanted the U.S. to go to war. He called him a conscious or dedicated agent of the communist conspiracy, and that was back in 1954 when he said that. So we got a lot of backlash about it. Just because he spoke on that, now all of a sudden he's an extremist. So he quoted himself at a JBS meeting back in 1958. And I'll read this quote again. I know I said it on the last one, but he said, the long-range plan, quote, induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty piece by piece and step by step to various international organizations such as, but not limited to, the United Nations, end quote. Now, he did give 10 steps, 10 examples of how they were going to carry out this long-range plan, because, I mean, these people are like, they're years ahead of whatever's going on, you know what I'm saying? Like, they plan things out 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and slowly but surely they do small things at a time so that we don't notice so drastically, and they make their dreams and hopes and plans come to fruition. Alright, so step 1 of these steps. Greatly expand government spending to get rid of larger sums of American money, and to do this as wastefully as possible. And we all know how our government loves to waste. They throw money into anything and everything. How in the world did we get trillions of dollars in debt anyways? They throw money into everything except for what is needed. Number 2, higher and then much higher taxes. Right? The story that I was told back at school was that the people who came here supposedly were running from taxes in England. Over there in Europe, that's why we came here anyway, was to get rid of the taxes, get away from that. And here we are getting charged out the ass for taxes. Number 3, increasingly unbalanced budget despite the higher taxes. And government spending has gotten out of hand, y'all. We don't have a balanced budget. There's such a thing as the balance. Basically, the balance would be if the receipts of what the government is supposed to spend and what the government actually spends are on the same page. If it's the same, that's balanced. Of course, we don't have a balanced budget. Number 4, extreme inflation of our currency, which we're seeing that now. I mean, we've been seeing it, yeah, but I mean, now I think more than ever, more people are starting to pay attention, but it needs to be a continuous thing. You need to pay attention, Start paying attention and then keep paying attention, because things change all the time. We got too many distractions going on in the world. They distract us with our phones, with the internet. They make sure that you have to stay busy at work, busting ass just to be able to afford the roof over your head, the food, and you and your family's stomachs. You're going to be too busy with work to be worried about what they're doing. Number 5, government control of places, wages, and materials disguised to combat inflation. Number 6, increased socialistic controls over every operation of our economy and activity of our daily lives, and greatly enlarged size of our bureaucracy to enhance our costs and reach of our domestic government, which the government has gotten way too large. It's broke down into like legislative, administrative, judges, even ordinary people like citizens. I worked at a call center, and if we were doing surveys for the government pertaining to like VA, reaching out to the veterans who were in the VA program and asking them their opinions about the service that they got, well, then we were considered government workers while we were on that survey. Anybody doing anything that has to pertain to the government on their behalf is technically a government worker. Well, it takes money to pay those people, and that's way too many people. Let me see. It's grown to include many institutions, agencies, and activities, and that's aside from what I just listed too. And all those things have to be funded. Private individuals and firms spend hundreds of billions of dollars annually to comply with government regulations. The government says that certain things have to be done. Government said that there should be a certain amount of money that's being spent, and they have to make sure that they do that, or else they get in trouble, right? Mostly aimed at air and water pollution, lowering health risks, and eliminating workplace discrimination against women, ethnic, and other protected groups. First of all, what is other protected groups? That is not specific enough. And I don't see why we need to be spending billions, hundreds of billions of dollars eliminating workplace discrimination against women or ethnic people. I'm pretty sure that it's common sense at this point that everybody can work anywhere. You feel me? Like, when I go and work at the call center, there's somebody of every color, every religion, every sex. We up in there. You can work wherever you want to work at this point now. So it's telling you that there's a problem that's not really there, that they're famous for. As far as the air and water pollution go, listen, when you're voting on measures for the water and air pollution or anything that has to do with the environment, the actual measure itself is hundreds of pages long. It takes forever to read. They never put it on there. They give you a little section like this, and then you check if you want to vote yes or no on that little segment out of those hundreds of pages. And of course, they pick a line that sounds good. It sounds good to say we don't want air pollution or we don't want water pollution, but then if you read into it, I mean, are they actually combating that, or are they contributing to that? Because as far as air pollution goes, there's planes out there spraying the sky every day, all day long. They don't miss a beat. And everybody tried to say, oh, well, no, it's condensation from the planes, right? The water vapors from the planes when they were passing by. But see, when a plane is going this way and the water condensation is behind it, as the plane is leaving and the condensation trail is here, it disappears as the plane moves. These trails, what they want to call chemtrails, which is chemicals, short for chemical trails, that's what they're leaving in the air. They stay there for hours, if not the entire day. And when they start to fall down, because whatever is up must come down, they respray it again. It's like a checkered damn design out there if you go outside and look in the middle of the day. They contribute, the money has to be pumped into that. That's a government thing. So we spend money, the government spends money to contaminate the air that you breathe. Same thing with the water. I wish I had wrote down what the hell the little thing was called. It's a little gadget that you put into the water. When you turn it on, it separates all the layers of things into the water. So when you do it in the tap water, you get like a black sludgy stuff, which is mostly heavy metals, There's different layers of colors. It's going to change according to the area you live in, but in general, it's going to be the same colors. Just some things might be more in other places than others. And they tell you, oh, well, the healthier solution is to drink the bottled water. Don't drink tap, it's contaminated, so drink bottled water. But guess what is filled in the bottled water? Fluoride. There might not need no black and things like that. There might not be heavy metals, but there's a whole lot of fluoride in it. And do you know what fluoride is? It is a neurotoxin. And a neurotoxin means that it is a toxin that attacks your brain. It is toxic to your brain. And that's what you drink. And money has to go into them doing that to the water. So that is what they pump money into, is to slowly killing you. And then you convince yourself that these people are on our side. They're not on our side. And somebody like Mr.Welch tried to say that way on back in the 50s. And the fact that the plan, he vocalized the plan in 1958? Yeah, he vocalized the plan back in 1958. That plan was probably put in place back in the 40s or 30s. It probably just started really getting acted on within the 50s. And then it took somebody who was brave enough to say something to actually bring attention to it, and then he was labeled a conspiracy theorist, where people just thought that he was talking out of his butt, basically. He's talking outside of his neck, because he must not like government. Hell, I don't like him either. But this is the kind of things that happen, man. There was a Democratic pledge to not raise taxes for Americans earning under $400,000 annually, and it was a lie, right? In 2023, taxes are expected to increase by $16.7 billion in taxpayer earnings less than $200,000. That is, okay, whatever we're putting in goes to them, and then they turn around and use it to put us into greater debt. It's inevitable. It's always happening. Government budget is unbalanced when estimated government spending isn't equal to what they actually spent, which is what I was trying to explain earlier. So if you have a receipt of, okay, well, the government is only allowed to spend $300,000, just an example, $300,000 this year, but they end up spending $3 million, it's an unbalanced checking budget. We'll never have a balanced budget in this country. Our government has gone rampant. They do whatever they want. They don't have to answer to nobody. The way that we run elections and things are rigged. I believe that full-heartedly. I just don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what needs to be done, because we've become so complacent. Because it's just insane, y'all. It's insane. Alright, number 7. More centralization of power in Washington and practical elimination of our state lines. Elimination of our state lines is pretty much saying that they're going to be just as good as our county lines. The whole nation would function as a whole, right? And then the laws wouldn't be done state by state. For the most part, that's what it's saying. Like how there's federal law, which is nationwide, and then you have state law. That's for now. Like in California, how they have state law says marijuana is legal. Federal law says it's still illegal. So even though you can grow it, the feds can still come in and destroy your crops. It just is what it is. It's not on the same page. Number 8, they study advancement of federal to have control over our educational system, leading to complete federalization of public education. Number 9, constant hammering into the American consciousness to support modern warfare, peace on communist terms, that is. So whenever there's anything going on with war, the communists got to decide when peace comes. Not you, not the American, no, the communist. Number 10, the consequent willingness of American people to allow these steps of appeasement by our government, which amounts to a peaceful surrender of the free world and of the U.S. itself. It means that we got to let it happen. And how many people do you think are going to get up off the couch, get up and leave their job to go and fight front lines for the country? Seriously. We let these things happen to us. We're mad at them, which is rightfully so, because they want to play these games to start with. But we got to be mad at us too, because we don't do anything to change it. There has to be change, and change does not happen without action. You can sit there and you can hope for it, you can pray for it, you can do whatever you want, but action got to start with you. That's just the truth of the matter. You can't get around it. If you want to sit and wait for a miracle to come, then I feel sorry. I feel sorry for us. But I just wanted to give you a little tidbit about what he had to say, Mr. Welch. I've seen him on TikTok. I thought it was pretty interesting, so I looked into it. He's not the first, and he won't be the last to talk about the way that the government has screwed over the people. It's an ongoing cycle. And I don't know, man. I just feel like we just gotta start standing up. We gotta start being our own saviors at this point, because nothing ever got done in the past by sitting and letting the government have control over everything. Nothing got solved that way. Things got really messed up really quick. But that was just my little follow-up. Thank you again for joining. Again, I'm Drift Nasty, and thank you for coming onto the It's Beyond Me podcast. Like and subscribe, share the video with friends, and help to get us on a bigger panel. Not many people know who we are. We're still fairly new. But we'll be back on this weekend with some more videos for you. Thank you.